So when you think of No Man's Sky, your first thought immediately jumps to space exploration, to aliens in astronaut suits, cool ships and planets, lots and lots of planets. But No Man's Sky wasn't always what it is today. No, it took a small team of no more than 20 people, 5 years, 17 major updates and countless new features to turn this into one of the best sci-fi adventures we have today. Well, guys and gals, last month was No Man's Sky's 5th year anniversary, and in order to celebrate that, I thought it would be cool to take a look back at the 5 most defining features that fundamentally changed No Man's Sky forever. Also, for the first time ever on this channel, believe it or not, this video is actually being sponsored by Hello Games themselves, so a huge shout out to them. And if by any miracle you haven't checked No Man's Sky yet, I definitely encourage you to do so by following the links down below. Now, you have to understand that No Man's Sky has received so many updates and features over the years that it's really difficult to boil it all down to just 5. That is why I try to go with the ones that had the most impact on the community when they launched and the way you play and see the game nowadays. And coming right up and personally a complete game changer when it launched, it's our actual character models. Believe it or not, folks, No Man's Sky didn't always play like this. Back in the good old days, we used to dream of a character model, and fans were still speculating back then what sort of alien creature we even were. Veterans will even remember this, but everything in the first 2 years of No Man's Sky's history was in fact completely in the first-person view. From the on-foot movement to ship maneuvering and almost everything else in between was all in the first-person mode. This made for a very immersive experience, but players wanted more. A lot more, as a matter of fact. And boy, did we get taken by surprise, because in the summer of 2018, it finally happened. So imagine being a longtime fan of the game and all of a sudden, one day, you get this monumental update called Next to pop on your screen, and that was for absolutely free. So for the first time ever, No Man's Sky not only did get a character model, but also a third-person camera view, and the cherry on top, it also came with its very own character customizer to unlock new skins and make your character truly unique. Nowadays, it is such an integral part of the game that I simply cannot imagine No Man's Sky without it, and over the multiple updates so far, Hello Games added a lot more customizing to it to make your character feel even more outstanding than ever before. Now, since we were on the subject of game-defining features, I think that the next one fits this criteria even better, especially since it's been requested even before the game came out, and that has to be multiplayer. No Man's Sky's universe is so vast it might as well be infinite, because you're never going to discover all of it. And while being a space nomad is cool and all, you oftentimes want to share that experience with somebody else. Just to give you a rough idea, player meetups were so difficult back in the old days that we had to create our very own subsystem within the game called the Player Hub, and for the longest time you had to journey to the far reaches of the universe to even get to it before being able to see somebody else face to face. It definitely wasn't easy. Nowadays, Hello Games brought us multiple updates and improved the multiplayer so much that it kinda became its own thing, and the one that finally brought it all up together had to be the Beyond update in 2019. This and the later added crossplay finally gave players the tools to not just meet up, play and explore together, but also interact with each other in ways they never could possibly before. All of that would have not been entirely possible without our new and revamped Space Anomaly, which nowadays acts as our official player hub. And I'm still surprised nowadays, going back all of these years, seeing how it changed over the years from just a solitary kind of single room with a bunch of NPCs to a fully fledged player meetup spot that we have today. And there's so many other benefits that you get out of it, from online co-op missions to cool community unlocks, getting rewards from aliens and making upgrades for your characters and ships, and everything else in between all ties up into this neat feature right here, which I would argue is one of the best player hubs I have experienced in any game so far. But enough with that, you can't reach the skies without a solid foundation, so let's take an even greater step back to one of the first updates ever added to No Man's Sky back at the end of 2016. Hello Games back then added what they called their first of many free updates to come. That update was called Foundation, and they truly couldn't have picked a more suitable name because its main feature, which is base building, has now become literally the foundation of every new playthrough and everything a new player will ever do in this game when they start up. Exploring a vast universe was a player's biggest dream back then, but an even greater one was to create at the very least a place amidst the stars to call home, or maybe even completely colonize entire star systems. From all of the features ever added in the game, base building definitely achieved that, and it's one of the features that by far went through the most amount of changes, upgrades, and more recently complete revamps. It's impossible to even make a comprehensive list of everything that's been added over the years, but it is safe to say that everything worked up into something truly spectacular. Nowadays, there's entire communities of players centered around one thing and one thing only, and that is the idea of creating the most wild and crazy looking structures you can possibly think of. And it's about to become even more wild as the Frontiers update just added hundreds of new base parts and a complete UI revamp. Now, if you're looking at this as a new player, you might be thinking this all looks cool and everything, but you probably want better rewards for your time invested as well, right? Well, this brings us to a rather new feature, but I would argue a really defining one for No Man's Sky moving forward, and that's going to be expeditions. Think of these as seasonal events or leagues. Every few months you get to play the game in different ways. The core experience kind of remains the same, you still get to play as a space nomad, but there are new objectives, new challenges, and more important, brand new rewards. What makes these expeditions so cool is the fact that they give veterans at the game the possibility to power boost through certain aspects of the game compared to normal playthroughs, but I would argue these can be suited for complete beginners as well, as these unique challenge tracks will give you some crazy new rewards way faster, and once these seasonal events are gone, you can continue with the same save file in a regular old playthrough. But the biggest incentive by far for everybody who's doing these have to be the seasonal rewards, which are also account-wide, meaning that you can claim them on any save file, even completely new ones, once you acquire them. The last expeditions, for example, gave us the Mass Effect Normandy frigate that looks really cool, and also the very awesome looking jetpack skin. And the one before that also gave us the prestigious Gold Vector max rank ship, which yes, is very useful for a new playthrough where you want a max rank ship right away. Season 3 will start very soon, by the way, this week, so this will introduce even cooler rewards than ever before and a brand new pet, so definitely make sure you stay tuned for that because the incentives are definitely worth it. This, ladies and gents, brings us to the final one on the list, and that has to be the brand new settlement system added freshly with the new Frontiers update. And yes, I know this is technically speaking too new to be considered game-changing yet, but I think there's a huge potential right here within just a few more upgrades. First of all, we asked for this for the longest time, for ways for us to manage our very own colonies, to build towns and cities from the ground up, to influence the lives of various alien NPCs, and that is finally at our doorstep. You can help your citizens to settle disputes and protect them against incoming invasions. You can manage an entire settlement and even make policy decisions that will influence the way your NPCs will live. And this is just the beginning of it. I believe that there's a lot more that could be said about the settlement system and the way this could change No Man's Sky going forward. Now, I might have not been able to include all of the features that No Man's Sky has received over the years, simply because there's way too many and way too cool ones to even cover them into one single video at this point. I didn't cover ships or the freighters, I didn't cover the massive revamp that the game got to biomes and planet generation, the fact that we now have pets, or the awesome graphics overhauls that we got over the years. But at the end of the day, you don't need me to tell you that. You can go ahead and do whatever you want to do for yourselves. Again, the game can be found using the links down below, and I will give another huge shout out to Hello Games for making this possible. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.